This weekend's wedding just couldn't be more different. One is full on color and the other is classic white and pink. They're both going to be beautiful, but I'm curious to see which one you like better in the comments.
Thankfully, this year we had an abundance of cool flowers, so this means that it was so much easier to harvest for the July weddings. I remember the years when I had barely any flowers. I was like scrounging around all the time, praying that stuff would bloom. But now, and especially because the weather was in our favor, we had that nice cool spring. While I still had to buy a few flowers to make sure that I was in the color scheme, I largely was able to supply things myself, which is always a really, really good feeling. One thing that might surprise you when I do these weddings is that most of the time filling up the wedding order is not actually spent doing the arranging. The harvesting can take anywhere from 2 hours to 4 or 6, just depending how many places I have to go and sort things out. But it's actually the sorting of the flowers that takes a surprising amount of time. So I'm always organizing the flowers first by like which wedding gets what, and then what arrangement gets everything. So I usually start with the bride's bouquet, giving her the nicest stuff, and then I move on to the bridesmaids. Boutonnieres are always last, and then any centerpieces or big things are somewhere in between. I feel like this year more than ever, I have more systems in place, the right amount of help, and the help when I need it. So things are going smoother, but still not everything is always so easy.
Accomplishing everything I need to accomplish for these weddings has been really, really tough. I'm currently solo parenting. My husband is working a job where he's away for a period of time and then he's home. And this is during one of his away periods. And while the garden has been cooperating, I don't know if I'm gonna get the blue that I'm looking for the one bride. I feel like I have purple and I have like some dark blue delphiniums I was able to get a hold of, but just like nothing in that light blue. And I can see all of my delphiniums, my forget-me-nots, my nigella. Like I tried a couple of different things to be able to, win a couple of different ways. I feel like they're all gonna bloom on Monday. It's just such is life. But before I get harvesting, let me give you a quick little tour, at least of the Glamour Garden, because it's just so pretty. You have to see it. So this is where all of my cold hardy annuals that I planted with my frost-proof flower garden methods live, and they are doing so well. Like, look at that sweet pea. And I know you can't smell through the screen, but these high scent ones are just so gorgeous. Everything has pretty good stem length. I just love, love, love the Covent Garden Baby's Breath. And here you can see I have some stalk. My stalk wasn't as good this year, but I still got a few good ones. Finally been successful with larkspur, but this is just like really not the blue I was looking for. And let's talk about these snapdragons. Now I wish I had maybe netted them, but like the stems on them, like, okay, let's just look at this one, all right? And then it goes all the way down. That's such a thick, strong stem. I mean, this is at least like over a 2-foot snapdragon. I think this little corner over here is maybe my favorite. I think this is the Earl Grey larkspur, and then we have more saponaria, more stalk. I just have a little bit of protection. We had a threat of a storm the other day and I just didn't want my stuff to fall over if I could help it. The anemones have started to die down, but still, like, there's quite a few flowers here. And it's down to the last few stems of ranunculus, but I'm okay with that. I'm ready to kind of flip this bed and get other things in it. And then just over here in the perennial garden, it's still not super filled out by any stretch of the imagination, but like, it's finally starting to take shape and look intentional. And I swear the next video, this will be painted. Look at how pretty that Morden blush rose is. And like, this just keeps getting better every year. I wish I could have filmed a little bit more for you today of us harvesting and me basically running around like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to pick up peonies. I picked up some flowers from Last Frost Farms, and I picked up some flowers from one of my friends, Courtney. I will put, I don't know, I'm just blanking on her name of her flower farm, but I'll put it here on the screen. And then getting my helper to just sort of like harvest everything around here that I could, and still making the children feel like they were loved and checking in with them and everything. So it's just been kind of a crazy day. I've counted up my stems and I think we have enough for everything in the order. I probably don't need to harvest more, but I do need about 7 more snapdragons. So let's quick cut those. I wasn't kidding about that stem length. I feel a little bit like one of those fishermen with their fish and they're like, it was about this long. Ta-da! All right, these will be perfect for my neutral bride's bouquet with the pink and the white. So I think that's all for me tonight. We'll see you tomorrow when we do the crazy and everything gets made. Mama cat.
Since we sorted everything yesterday, today is going to go a lot faster. So first off, we're starting with the colorful wedding because they're coming to pick up first. In all of this bride's inspiration photos, she had coral peonies in them. And I asked a couple of my usual people who I get peonies from if they had coral, and it felt like just no one had coral peonies this year. So thankfully, even though I only got 8 precious peonies in my peony field because it's not fully mature yet, 5 of those stems were coral, so I was able to give my bride what she was hoping for. But the only bad part is when I opened those peonies and had them sort of ready, 3 of them were not looking so hot, and I did have a moment where I thought to myself oh, I'll just use them, you know what, it's gonna be fine. But then I really thought about it and I was like, no, I don't think it's gonna be fine. So I only used, I think, the 2 of them, and I'm so glad I did, because the next day those peonies looked like absolute garbage, and I would have been horrified if I sent my bride down the aisle with that. I still have a lot of weddings to go, so I don't know what will actually end up being my favorite bouquet of the year, but I feel like this one might be a contender, because even though it wasn't the blue we were hoping for, I really love coral. I really love juicy bouquets, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.
All right, well, that is the colorful order all done. I just have to put these in our little storage place where everybody comes to pick up. I'm really pleased with how the bridal bouquet and the boutonniere turned out. I just wish we could have had that blue that she was really hoping for on her Pinterest board, but despite that, I think it still looks really good. So let's get these out there and on to our neutral wedding. We are on to the neutral wedding. So for the bride, she wanted pink and white for hers, and then all of the bridesmaids that are down here, those will be just white. We also have tons of boutonnieres and corsages in this order, so we have a few little things here to make those with as well. Oh, I should have got those into water. And yeah, I guess that's about it.
One thing we need to discuss is this year's anemone crop. I feel like, really, I know that the weather was largely responsible for my anemones and ranunculus being so good, but these anemones have been so helpful in all of my bridal work, and everyone who sees them just loves them, and they're so intrigued by that blue center. And this year I've had a lot of brides who wanted blue and I couldn't quite give them their blue, but at least that anemone brings the blue in just a little bit. So if you don't grow them, I highly recommend it, or recommend trying. The other thing is, I feel like they're not quite as heat sensitive as the ranunculus. Currently, as I am editing this, my ranunculus bed is dead, but the anemones, even though they're finally dying out, they're still sending up the odd stem, which I can't believe, because we've had some smoking hot days and they should be dead in this ridiculous heat, but they aren't.
All right, Bridal bouquet time. So I thought I would just talk through the flowers for this one because I didn't really have last time. We were on a little bit of a crunch. Person's already picked up. So we're starting off with these gorgeous white peonies. They're so pretty. They smell really good. Then we're gonna do this little wildflower that grows in and around the acreage. We've got some white stalk. Most of mine wasn't quite ready, so we only have 2 stems. Then the baby's breath cooperated, and I just love how delicate and airy that is. We have the apricot stalk. Now I know most people don't use the singles, but I might need them, so I figured we'll just have them on standby. Oh, never mind, I have a little more stock. My sweet peas were also in bloom, and I thought, who doesn't love the smell of sweet peas? So we'll put those in too. We have some of this wild, I think it's alfalfa, maybe it's clover. I don't know what the actual name is. Oh, we have another stalk. Apparently it's just hiding and I didn't organize very well. We have a little bit of saponaria, and then we have these gorgeous snapdragons that I picked last night. Now, I don't know why all their stems are going so wonky, so we'll watch that. I might have to trim those. We'll see. And then finally, anemones, the star of the spring.
Even though I've made a lot of bridal bouquets, I have to admit that every time I start off a bridal bouquet, I get a little bit nervous because, of course, I want it to be beautiful and I want my bride to be happy and really like thrilled about it. But I also don't know exactly how it's going to go. Like, I don't know exactly what shape is going to come out of my hands. I start with a certain flower, but I don't know if that flower is actually going to end up in the center or if it ends up to the side. Like, I know there's different ways of making a bouquet that I could make these things a little bit more intentional, but it always just feels a little scary. But I guess on the other hand, it always usually turns out. I've also been making wrist corsages this year, which are slightly terrifying, but you know what? I'm getting a lot better at them and I'm pretty pleased with these ones. So it's the morning of the wedding. I go and I take out everything. I look at the greens, and a good chunk of them are just starting to shrivel up. I don't know why they're shriveling up. It had been doing this a bit yesterday, and so we cut everything off. I think I should have just pulled all those stems and not even bothered. And it makes no sense to me because some stems are completely fine, no issues, and others are just shriveling up and dying. I have about a half an hour before the family picks up. I actually asked for extra time because I just took one look at these and I'm like, there's no way I can't send this out. Like, this is gross. So I'm just gonna cut what I can and hope for the best. Thankfully, like, the main florals still look really good. The wrist corsages are holding up. I was a little worried about those. I haven't done a lot of them. Yeah, I had to go to cut, but I'll do a little thing at the end so you can see how everything went. It's just been so hard trying to do this and solo parenting. Like, the girls had a really bad night last night. I'm just so tired, and it's like I don't know when I'm gonna get to sleep because thankfully the baby's sleeping now, but I have to wait till her nap time. And then I just feel so guilty. Like, if I need to sleep, I just say like, okay, everybody can have their screens. I hate having my kids being parented by screens, but it's like I don't know what else to do at this point. I just feel like a bad mom all the time. I guess one thing to cheer me up, this the gotatia is blooming this morning and it's absolutely gorgeous. All right, the cousins have picked up the order. They looked happy. I was able to pick everything quick enough. I didn't take any footage because, like, let's be honest, if I'm really that pressed for time, I'm not going to spend the time to set up a tripod and like cut a bunch of greeting. That's crazy. So it's dealt with. I gave them so they needed 250 stems, I believe, and I gave them 300 just to like make absolute sure that they had enough in case anything that I sent along did the same thing later. So fingers crossed, everything looks great. And I don't know, sorry to leave you guys on a bit of a downer for this one. Again, like, if I just could get better sleep, but
Baby's getting 4 molars in all at the same time, so she rarely has a good night of sleep these days, poor thing. Anyway, here's to more sleep, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, friends. You want to say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Like and subscribe?
Like and subscribe.
Thanks, Fizzy. I love you.